abuse. And yes, they do need to go in and testify, and they should go in and testify. You know why? Because these guys are going to get locked up for the rest of their lives, and this will be a very empowering experience. I prepare young women like this to testify on a regular basis, and yes, they're afraid, but it's such an empowering experience ultimately, Piers, to go in there, to look him right in the eyes, to tell the jury what that piece of scum did to them. I'm sure that they were raped and beaten repeatedly. I know that they were tied up allegedly when they were rescued yesterday, and they should go in there and testify against them, get those guys locked up for the rest of their lives, and these women should walk out of the courtroom with their head held high because they've done nothing wrong.
Which is okay, but what I think Pierce's question was, are they compelled to? And I don't know the answer in Ohio. I know in some jurisdictions, California being one, that you can't imprison a victim of sexual abuse if they refuse to testify. And I've had cases where the victims have just said, I'm not going to do it, or the prosecutor has said, I'm not going to put them through it.
But we should encourage them to testify. We should give them the emotional support that they need to go in and testify. We should make it easier for rape victims to testify.
I understand all of that, but at the same time, you know, there are some people who don't need to be re-traumatized by going through that. And the law recognizes that by not incarcerating you, so to speak. If you go in there and subpoena somebody and they don't want to do it and they're the victim, they shouldn't be re-traumatized again by being thrown in jail.
I know, but of course not. But there's too many voices in our society that think that it's so traumatic for people to go in and testify. And I'm here to say that it's not. And the only way to get rapists prosecuted and locked up and put away is for women like this to come forward and testify against them. And you know what? She sounded very strong to me on that 911 call. If I can jump to a conclusion based on a very short call, I think she's going to go in there, and the other two are going to go in there and testify against them.
Well, we have actually got some... If I could just come back to you only in a moment, I could sort of play a little bit of news sound that we have from Amanda Berry that's just come into us. Listen to this.
Innocence.
The little girl is your baby.
Yes, she's my daughter.
In fact, she now has a...
Just a short clip there of her confirming apparently to her grandmother that she has this daughter that was obviously born in captivity there. Ernie Allen, on that particular point, that is a horribly complex issue, isn't it? Because it would assume, we'd have to assume, that she has born this child out of brutal rape and beatings.
It is horribly complex, but this 6-year-old is probably very important to her and is an integral part of her life. What has to happen from this point forward is she and the other victims need help, they need therapy. They basically proceed one day at a time. There is real resiliency in the human spirit, and these kinds of victims do get better, but it is something in which you can't restore those 10 lost years. You basically have to work toward achieving a kind of new norm.